Hey, thank you all so much for joining another episode of Celeste, the Therapist Podcast. My name is Celeste. I'm a therapist from Boston, Massachusetts, and I have a really special guest. I'm going to have you introduce yourself to my audience, please.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. It's your girl, Deborah Cole, better known, affectionately known as Queen Cole, over here in these social media life coaching streets, Queen Cole. And I am a certified life coach. I do accountability coaching. So I would love to partner with your viewers to be their accountability partner.
Nice, nice. And we'll get to like what's accountability partner means. I think that's an important thing for people to have that might be struggling a
Hmm.
little bit.
Yes.
And what I love your intro. You're full of light and brightness. And we're gonna hear about what you're doing now, but it wouldn't be a great podcast if we don't understand how you got to this point. So tell people a little bit about like where you were raised and what your upbringing was like.
I was an Army brat. So my dad is
Oh.
retired military. And so we've traveled all around everywhere. But really, where all this life coaching and all this, the inception of is when I graduated high school in 1997. So this all starts, look, lean in, it all started back in 1997. I graduated high school. That was in May. In July, I had my first child. And
Okay.
and then in November 1997, I got married.
That was
So,
quick. That was quick.
yes, your girl was, full of swift transition. So I was transitioning from one thing to the next very quickly. And then 16 months later, I had a baby number two. So
Wow.
all these swift transitions were happening. And then fast forward to now, after 17 years being married, I got divorced. And so that's when Queen Cole arrived because before then, I was such and such wife. I was this one's mom. I was that was my, I didn't hardly even know my own name. So I had to really dig in and almost reinvent myself because I really just wasn't in tune with myself.
So that's a good. I want to pause for a second. So, being an army brat, that means you were in different states. For people that may not know that, so you got to experience different cultures, a lot of different things. You go through high school and you do well and you graduate. Then you have your first child. And I'm also a mom, and I know when I had my child, I feel like I lost a piece of me. I wasn't able to name it like that. Like looking back, and I was married, and so I felt like I was like a wife and a mom. I don't know if I really identified myself as an individual because I'm really big on that when I'm working with people now because I realize when you're going through those transitions, you don't recognize like how you may have to readjust some things. So when you look at high school, then two babies within 2 years and marriage, do you feel like you wrapped your life around your family and your life? Which is fine, right? That's good. We want you to like love your family, but what about you?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's exactly what I did in my brain. I mean, I had this is a whole nother podcast, but I had a perfectionism complex and I wanted to be the best mom. I wanted to beat the statistics that, you're a teen mom, you're going to drop out of high school, you're not going to get married. I wanted to make the marriage work. I was just so gun ho. I set my standards and my expectations like extraordinary. Like, I'm doing this, I'm going to do this. And I lost myself. I was totally engrossed to being the best mom and the best wife. I wasn't even saying who the best Deborah could even be. I didn't even have it on my
Mm,
radar because from the things that I was doing, that was my identity. I had my identity
yeah.
in my children, in my ex-husband, and come to find out these kids, they grow up. They they go to
So
college.
I
They
know.
start
I mean,
they start driving
that
themselves.
I know it's so hard. So when was that aha moment for you? Like when did you recognize that? Because unfortunately, it and when the kid leaves is when people realize, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? So like, what was it? What was your like aha moment? Was like look like for you?
My oldest, my daughter went to college. And so I have
Okay.
a girl and a boy. And so I was the only woman in the house. The guys didn't care about my hair, my makeup. So I'm calling my daughter on FaceTime. What about this? What do I do? And I'm like, I cannot be draining her when she got to do her studies and do everything she has to do because I don't know what to do. I was lost. I was lost because a part of me was way over here doing something else that did not need me. And so I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, the guys are like, throwing some sweats, let's go. And I'm like, wait, what? So it was
Dang.
it was a revelation like, whoa, before this other
Yeah.
one leaves, I need to get my mind right. I need to figure out
Yeah.
who am I. And so that's when me and my ex-husband looked at each other and said, like, who are you? Like we're great partners in the cold world, making sure
Hmm.
that the kids are this and that, and that we're serving here and we're serving our community. We were the
Hmm.
Huxtables, we were the Obamas before they were in the White House because we had a White House, so we were all like, you can't stop us, but our individuality, we totally lost it. And so when we looked at each other, we're like, well, who are you? And we saw
Wow.
that the growth, there was growth that happened as a family wise. You're having kids go to college, they're getting heavily recruited. So you're all engrossed into the rat race. And we just totally lost sight of, what and who we were as individuals. And so once we disconnected, I really had to just lean in and to just heal myself and to be able to figure out, where am I going to go from here? Who am I? What do I even like for dinner?
What did that journey look like? Because also I just want to say, because you said the perfectionism in you, a lot of times we don't recognize that's what we're doing. And sometimes for people it could be, like, I'm gonna do it better than I had it, right? I want them to have like everything, the areas I struggled in, I don't want them to struggle, and don't leave any room for us. But what was that like healing journey? So after the divorce, you started the healing journey, or you felt like during? Because it sounds like y'all have a great relationship, you and your ex husband, around the kids. But then when did your healing journey start?
Not until after I got divorced. I went
Okay.
back home to Louisiana where my parents live. So, like, I moved back in with my parents. I
Oh
felt like I
snap!
was back in 1997 because my dad's asked me, like, you gonna bust the suds? I'm like, what? I can't eat in my room. What? So it was it was very
Yeah.
humbling to have to go back home, which is a great thing. I'm
Right.
thankful that my parents, open doors, all that. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but it was very humbling that I had to almost start over. Like, where am I
Wow.
going to go from here? What am I going to do? Because I had no clue. I was very codependent on my
Yeah.
ex-husband and codependent even on my children, their activities, what they're doing. And then when they started being independent, because that's what we want them to do, right? I'm like, what do I do? So the first thing I did was go back home, and I just really just leaned into the Lord. I was at Bible studies, I was at prayer. They were saying we got noonday and 6 a.m. prayer. I'm there. I
Oh
don't know what
wow.
I'm. The Lord was probably like, Queen, can you stop? So it was just really pouring out of myself, whether that was crying, whether that was
Yeah.
laughing, whatever that was at that particular moment. My parents allowed me to have that space. There was one time I
Nice.
remember my mom's like, what do you want to eat? And I'm like, I don't know. Because I'm
Oh,
used to cooking how
for
my
everyone
kids,
else.
how
Yeah.
my ex-husband. So I'm like, I don't know. And she was like, I would just sit in there and I started crying. And she was like, have this moment, get it out, but then get up and then get something to eat. So it was really just the family support. And then also just really leaning into God and just saying, Lord, I'm your child. Which way do you want me to go? Like really listening for direction, not saying like I usually do, Lord, here are my plans, bless them
Hmm. Hmm.
and move on. No, I'm like, I have
Hmm.
no plans, Lord. What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? What do I do? And so, not until he said, okay, let's go, I
Hmm.
did. So, it took me 1 year to be at home and just, I'm from a small town in Louisiana, Leesville, Louisiana, and the mall is Walmart. So there wasn't anything for me to do. So I had to really just lean into the Lord. That was the first thing. And then my family support was awesome to be able to help me just push through it.
I lived in a small town in Georgia, so I said the mall was Walmart. That's why I'm laughing because it's like you had no other choice but to lean into yourself. I also want to make a point for people listening that may be struggling. Like people may not struggle because they've been married for so long and lost themselves. It could just be like I really don't know what. I always encourage people to ask questions, ask them out loud, write them out because I do believe that we begin to get signs of what direction we should go. A lot of times I think we just sit in our struggle and we don't really like question or make statements out loud or declarations or affirmations affirming. And so like it sounds like what you did was had community support like with your family, right? And I say community for people that may not have a supportive family like you have. There's other ways to build community, and then just leaning into yourself, being vulnerable, which is probably hard, sitting there crying. It wasn't about the dinner. It was just the reality of, wow, I'm here and I don't know how I got here. It seems like it happens overnight, but it's a process. 17 years was not overnight. And so you're there for a year. And then what was your next step from there?
So the personal accountability was the pivotal part. I had to look
Okay.
at myself like, how did I even get here? It's easy to say,
Yeah.
well, the kids needed this, or I had to do, or he.
Yep.
No, but when I looked
Nope.
at myself, I allowed things to happen. And so that's when I had to start learning about boundaries. I was like,
Before she
ooh,
tell us about boundaries, the personal accountability, especially, I think sometimes we get caught up in it wasn't my fault or I had to do this. And I think the important part of being able to take accountability is that we feel like we are in power. We have more power to make changes. If I feel like everything happened because of everyone else or everything is happening because of everyone else, then I don't feel like I have power. So for somebody else, they may listen to, oh, but you was a good mom. Like, yeah, but she lost accountability with taking care of herself. Nobody forced her to do that. And so it
true.
seems small, but that personal accountability is actually a huge game changer for your mindset. Go ahead. But you
It
set
really,
boundaries, yeah.
oh yeah, oh, that is so true. And that was the
Mhm.
pivotal point when I actually looked at myself and said, okay, what was I really doing? I was people pleasing. I was trying to be perfect. I had that whole complex. So I started unraveling those things. And what
Nice.
to allude what you said earlier about writing things down, journaling was huge. I mean, just writing down how I felt at that moment, just
Mhm.
sitting in that moment. Because sometimes we're like, oh, this hurts, this sucks. But then how do I get out of this?
Yeah.
How do I go on from here? What am I feeling right now? So I had to really like I would sleep with, and I still do. I have a notepad beside me because like my brain is like,
Wow.
and I'm like, let me just write this out, whatever it is, and it doesn't have to be anything specific or fancy.
Nope.
I mean, I just had a
Nope.
little notebook writing. Okay,
I tell
this
people
is
just
what.
go to the dollar store. If you got paper around your house, I said getting it out just gives you some more clarity. We're so clogged up. That is so true.
Yeah, and what I ate, this is I probably dated myself, but when people used to get those receipts, I used to write on receipts too. Okay, this I don't got no paper. Let me write on this receipt because I need to get this out of my head
Yeah.
onto something else to either say, okay, this was just a moment, or do I need to deal
Yes.
with it? I was able to dissect it more outside of my brain than having it all stuck up here just running around. I'm like, get on this paper so we can deal with you.
Good point, and you get discernment that way because I am a big fan of like identifying emotions because emotions can stop you from doing what you need to do, and unfortunately, a lot of times our emotions are leading our decisions and we don't recognize it. And so it's good to identify it because we're human. Emotions are going to be part of the human experience, but especially like in the Black community as well. I just think that we're not really used to having and Black women aren't used to really having like this vulnerable space with ourselves, but we are so used to taking care of everybody else. So now you took accountability and then you
Mhm.
recognize boundaries. I want you to expand on that because that's another big thing that people don't understand the importance of.
Yeah, setting boundaries, and I mean, this is a safe space, the Celeste therapist. Let me just tell y'all, my first one was with my kids. I didn't have any boundaries with them. Whatever they needed, one, I would just make, and I was overcompensating to find out. So I had to start with them. I had to start saying no. Like, I said it. and it just felt so straight. I would feel so guilty. But that was the first thing. I started saying no. I read Chandra Rhimes' book, The Year of Yes. And when I turned 40, I said, you know what? This is going to be my year of yes. But when it was my yes, it was things that were aligned with me, things that fed me, things that filled me up. And I said no to the things that were draining, or no to the things that my heart just wasn't in. I'm like, oh, I don't want to write your resume over. Oh, I don't want to
Mhm.
apply for a grant for you or a scholarship. I don't want to, no, I don't want to do that. And so when I
Yeah.
started saying no, setting those boundaries, it just got easier and easier. And it was really showing people how to treat me, because at first I was yes to everything. I know mom gonna say yeah, yes,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Mom, can you? I'm over here, yes, and trying to answer a yes, and then over here agreeing to another yes.
Yeah, and then you're
Uh-uh.
breaking yourself down.
I had to draw the line. I said, I'm going back to the cycles that I just came out of. So
Dang.
recognizing the cycles, and once you create those boundaries, you're able to recognize those cycles even before they start approaching. You're like, no. And no is a complete sentence. Just say it. No.
Yeah, and I want to point out Queen just said that when she originally started saying no, she felt guilty, right? And a lot of times we stop saying no. We know we need to because of the feelings of guilty, but we don't have to allow the feelings to stop us from doing what we need to do. But we do need to identify them so we can know, okay, this is a part of change. Like I might feel guilty because it's a foreign like concept to my life to be talking about no. I don't even know how to spell no. And so now I gotta say it because I'm calling myself taking care of me. And even though she went through that year transition of just trying to learn herself and all of those things, I'm sure it was like a grieving moment for you as well. If all of your identity was wrapped up into taking care of everyone else, and recognizing like, oh snap, did you find yourself feeling like you was grieving a little bit?
I did. But
Mhm.
what I had to tell myself, and this is when the affirmation started coming into play. I'm like, you know what? I am whole without being married. I was
Yeah.
up there living with my parents for a whole year, so I had to transition my medical stuff and all that. So I was filling out a form, simple form, and it said single or married.
Mhm.
And I started crying. I said, "There's no divorce on here. I'm like, what?"
What is
I started crying. My mom came right up. What is it? Like, is it the co-pay? And I was like, there's no divorce. You're single. And I'm like,
I'm sorry. It was like on pay. It's something about reading it. That's why we don't. People don't like writing stuff down. It's like you got to really face the reality and read that. It was like, I'm really out in these streets single right now.
right. And it just hurt. So that was part of the grieving process. Really, I wore my ring for almost that whole year, Celeste. I was a weirdo because I didn't want people asking me questions. I didn't want anybody asking me questions, one, about, what happened, or, trying to approach me like, oh, hey, how are you? Don't come. I'm divorced. So it was a grieving process because my identity was wrapped so much
Yeah.
into what I invested myself in, all the way from
Mhm.
1997 when I put it in my
Wow.
head. I just went full speed ahead and did not
Yeah.
look back. I didn't look back at the high school senior that wrote in her senior thing, I'm going to go to Southern University. I'm going to be a teacher. I didn't look at that because I was like, no, I'm about to be the best mom, the best wife. And I didn't look back at that. So when I started going through the grieving process, I had to disconnect from those things and say, you know
Yeah.
what? I am gonna make new memories. All that was great. There were great times, but now I can make new memories. I
Mhm.
can do that. I am learning new things. I am whatever, an overcomer. I am all right by myself. I am whole by myself. So when I started saying those things over and over again, because sometimes you don't believe them, you like,
Say
girl,
it again for the people in the back, because you say these things, but you really like, is this really true? But saying it is powerful.
saying it is powerful, writing it down is powerful. you say it until you just feel it. You just know it. That's why it's like
Yeah.
when people say, "Hey, Queen," I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm Queen Cole. What you mean? What? So I say that because it's an affirmation for me. It's a walking
Yeah.
affirmation as I'm saying it, as I'm doing it. So when I say I'm Queen Cole, I'm standing up a little straighter. You know, I'm putting on a little pop of lipstick so I can go come talk to Celeste, the therapist. But when I'm at home and I'm by myself, I'm just, no, no, no. I am Queen Cole. I am an overcomer. I am victorious. I'm saying all those things. That it gives you another power inside of you. And you're like, you know what? I can do this. I can do hard things. And then you start doing them. And as you do a little
Wow.
small stuff, then you start doing big stuff.
Mhm. So the affirmations are powerful for people listening. And I say I fight with my clients, but because they'd be like, "But it's not true," and I'd be like, "I hear you," but there's power in what we say. And when I talk to people and they may say something like, "Oh, I'm so stupid," like just kind of, I was like, "But when you say that, your mind is listening." And so, like, if you start to affirm who you are, your mind is listening to that, even if you're not believing it, if you start to write it down. And so Queen just went through like a whole slew of like I am statements. And it sounds like that was a big part of how you became more confident in who you are.
Yeah, that and also doing a vision board. I did a vision board because I did not know clearly what I wanted to do. And once I
Yeah.
did that vision board, I put things like, I want to find another home church when I move. Where do I want to relocate myself? And I was just saying all these things on this vision board. And as I was looking at the vision board, saying my I am affirmations, then I started putting into action. I'm about to move, parents. No more dishes tonight. I'm moving to Dallas, Texas. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be leaving on this day. And so as I started doing that and started putting the vision, putting everything together, 1 + 1 is 2. So it's like, okay, I did the affirmations. Okay, I'm feeling stronger. I'm feeling powerful now. Now I got my strength. Now what can I do? I did a vision board. Then I'm like, I need to start doing these things. And so what I implemented, and I still do it now, is try new things Tuesday, which got me to learn new things and try new things because I was doing all the things that my family did. All I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I would every Tuesday do something that I haven't done before and
Wow.
something very small, eating dinner out
Wow.
alone.
Wow.
That's hard. Ooh, that was hard. I was scared. At first, I used to be fake busy, like I'm on my phone. No, I'm not talking to nobody. I'm just fake busy, but eating out. But then I said, nope, nope, take it a step further. Put your phone down. Enjoy the ambiance. Look around. Talk to the waiter. I started doing that, girl. I started dating myself. I'm like, hold up. I like this. I like red snapper.
Oh
I
my
like this.
god. And can
I
I
like
say, just for people listening, because this is so good for people that are struggling. I could just so many people that need to hear this. Just so we're on the same page, you're trying new things doesn't mean like you're joyous and it feels good while you're out there, right? Like your stomach's probably turning, you're sweating. But I'm sure today you can go out and enjoy a nice dinner.
Yes, today I can. Today I can. But it takes you doing it first. All the things
Yeah.
that you think are going to happen, like I'm thinking, people are looking at me or people going to,
Ain't
they're
nobody looking
not.
at you.
Ain't nobody looking at you. The waiter halfway paying attention to you. Like the things that you think, we give ourselves always these worst case scenarios. So what I had to do is flip my mindset. So what are the good possibilities that can happen when I go out? Maybe a
Nice.
nice gentleman is going to pay for my dinner.
Okay.
Maybe I'm going to meet somebody else that's out, another lady, and like, hey, we could become friends. So I started saying, what if all the good things, all the
Yeah,
possibilities that were positive
I
opposed to
love that.
negative? I didn't even think about the negative anymore because I'm like, I already know them. None of them are happening. So how about some positive things start happening? And so that's what I went with. I started going to the movies. Girl, I was this is dating myself, but I was like Popeye then. I was eating my spinach. I was just like, got my popcorn. I'm ready to see the movie by myself. And it did
Nice.
not bother me. And I had to really figure out what was that. There were times where I was around thousands of people, hundreds of
Yeah.
people, but I felt alone. I didn't
Yeah.
know my own company. And so I had to invest time into that, getting
Yeah.
to know Deborah, getting to know what I like, what did I enjoy, because I had no clue because I was catering, people pleasing, chasing perfectionism and other people, and it wasn't the right thing to do. So now here I am, a certified life coach, helping
Yeah.
other women get through this because that's the whole thing too. I didn't want to tell anybody. I was ashamed. I was scared. I was like, oh, what they gonna think? And then you
Dang.
start saying it, and people are like, me too. And you're
Yep.
like, what?
Yep.
Why we didn't? And it's easier once you start knowing somebody else has went through something, and it's just the enemy that tries to block us. Like, you the
Absolutely.
only one. I'm
Yep.
like, I am not the only one in
No.
2015 to get a divorce.
Nope. And that's why I started this podcast because I wanted people to know they were not alone. But it's great that you shared how you started like dating yourself and getting to know yourself because you're with you 24/7. So it's like hard for me to hear when people have a hard time being alone when it's like, but if you don't love you or if you don't like being with you, but you're chasing to be with someone else, like it doesn't add up. Now I am statements are so was so amazing for you that you created an I am academy. Tell people a little bit about that because I'm a firm believer on how we speak about ourselves and the language that we use in I am statements. So when I learned about you, I was really excited to hear about how that came along.
Yeah, I'm so excited about it because it's my baby. I was doing podcasting, and so my last podcast series that I did I am affirmations. So like I am worthy of rest. I am this, I am that. And so I said, you know what? I'm gonna stop podcasting and I'm gonna get a community of women together so that we can share these different experiences candidly, openly, transparently, so that way we can help one another. Because I'm like, it helped me and it helped so many other people. I just had to share. So I'm like, let me get a group together. So it's an online private Facebook group. We're about 175 to 100 people right now,
Wow.
but it's growing and I'm excited about it. We also, so once a month, the month goes like this. So there's a master class, which is an I am affirmation. So either the next one coming up in August is I am worthy. No, I I am spending my time wisely. So it's about time management. So once a month, there's a master class, there's a challenge once a month, and then there's also a fun event once a month. So that's what I do. I get ladies to, to come to the group. We have the different challenges. In February, we did a self-love challenge. So they had these
Nice.
21 days. I am this, I am that, self-love. And then to culminate the end of the 21 days, we had an open mic. So we had people come on doing their poetry, sing. And so it was really fun, especially with everything was just sort of opening back up. We were still able to enjoy each other online. So we haven't did anything in person yet, but the I Am Academy is definitely my baby in the making. It's still figuring out a few bugs, but the beta testing is going very well, and I'm excited about where it's going.
Congratulations. So you know that what you wrote in your yearbook is happening because you are a teacher. Do you realize that? Like that's
Yes,
happening right
yes.
now and you're creating your own and it's so hard to create your own. What was that like for you to decide to like I mean podcasting is one thing, you're behind the audio, you talk, but to like bring people together is another thing. What was that like for you?
It's exciting, it's scary, I'm
I
nervous, all
know.
at the same time, but I know how essential it is to our growth and to our mental well-being, especially as women. The whole superwoman, like here, you can drop the cape off at the door. You don't, you can say,
Good.
he get on my nerves, they get on my nerves, and we're gonna say, okay, but you're gonna be all right. You know what I mean? So you
Yes.
can speak freely, you can be who you are without the whole, I got it all together, mom. My planner is better than
Yeah.
your planner. And No, it's none of that. We're like, no, sometimes it's a, and
That's
it's a
good.
safe space for women to come and just to be vulnerable and also to share their experiences to help someone else. So we have people in there from 19 to 55. So
Oh,
it's a
that's
very
awesome.
diverse age range with the different transitions you have in life. So even like for me, I
Yeah.
went from, you know, a young woman to married, wife, kids, divorcee, single.
Mhm.
And then, now back to dating. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know what that looks like.
They
Like,
didn't even
I
have
talk on
apps
the
back in
phone.
our day. They didn't have apps. They did not have apps. I'd be listening to
Okay.
these app stories and I'd be like, "Oh my goodness, I can't."
That's what I'm saying. I like to meet people in real life. I like to call people on the phone. Like, I call you. Hey, hello?
You
People
better.
people people don't answer. You text me first. What? So like something like that, somebody else that maybe has already been through that, it can help me out like, Queen, let me tell you about these dating streets. And so
Exactly.
we're just really helping each other, using the I am affirmations as the foundation, God, of course, but then the I am
Yeah.
affirmations as our foundation to be able to help one another, as you climb up, reach back and help somebody else. And I'm a big
Yeah.
advocate of that because, somebody has been where you are, and then
Yeah.
there's somebody behind you that's trying to get to where you're going.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about the I Am Academy. I'm looking forward to the progression of it. My whole thoughts and ideas on it, I'm still having before the Lord. And whenever He says go, I'm just gonna be like, boom, here's something next.
Congratulations. Not only did Queen start this I Am Academy, but she's also an author. She's out here doing it. I'm telling y'all, I like what she's doing now. And I know as somebody who's also an entrepreneur that it's really it's not easy, right? It's not easy to put yourself out there. It's not easy to start these things. And here she is, but I had to start with the beginning because I don't want somebody to look at you. You're so bubbly, so bright, but she was crying over on the application over what you want for dinner, and then nope, I would have never thought not Queen Cole. So I mean, I know this as somebody who's been in this field for a while that this happens, but most people don't realize that. They don't even know I have a story because they think I got everything together. I'm like, no, I'm human just like you. And so like I'm grateful for you for even like sharing, but tell people a little bit about your being an author and like how you started, like what made you do that?
Let's go back to the vision board. I had put on the vision board
Write
five
it down
years
and make it plain.
5 years before that I want to write a book. I'm going to start writing a book. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do. I didn't do
Wow.
it. I didn't do it. I still had fear connected to me. I
Yeah.
wasn't walking with fear. I was letting fear stop me. And so an opportunity came up. This is when I was podcasting. It was a podcasting group, and somebody put in there a call for authors for an anthology. And the name of the title was Forged by Fire, Built God Tough. I said, ooh, that sounds
That sounds
good.
good.
I said, "Oh, that sounds good. I should be in it." I said, so it said like, message for information. And I'm like, okay. But it was late. I had no business one being online. That like it was after midnight. And I just messaged and I just put my phone up. Bloop, the lady messaged back. I said, what? Okay.
Dang.
And so then all of a sudden, we're having a conversation. It's after midnight. We're having a conversation. And all of a sudden, I have all these questions. I ain't never published a book. I ain't never put my stuff all together. And I have all these questions. And the Lord was like, you said you wanted to be in a book. This is an opportunity to be a part of a book. And
Yeah.
I'm giving it's an easy street. Write a
Yeah.
chapter, 1,500 words. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. And then from that point on, I surrendered. I said, you know what? I am going to share a story. And when I shared a particular story, I was like, whoa. And that particular book was my first one, is the anthology Forged by Fire, Built God Tough. It became an international, Amazon international best-selling book.
Wow. That is so awesome. Imagine if you let fear stop you from doing what you needed to do. We don't know the possibilities, right? And I also wanted to just go back really quick and just let people know when she talked about the dinner and how she had all these negative thoughts and she said, let me reframe my mind, shift to how she was thinking, because one part it could be true. People could be thinking stuff, but the other part could be true. You can meet new friends, or you can find out network, like so many other possibilities that for some reason we don't go to. And remember, we live in a country that produces fear, wants us to spend and not feel completely safe. So, it's in our culture and our environment where we have these like what ifs and negative statements, but then we don't have to go at the pace of our society. We can actually be intentional and reframe some of our thoughts. Like we have more power than we realize, and we don't utilize our power the way we could. And I think a lot of it is lack of education, not like school education, but the lack of knowledge of like how powerful we really are.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, just when you're thinking about your thoughts, and you even think about when somebody gets a new car, just say your best friend gets a new car, you're like,
Mhm.
man, this is dope. I've never
Mhm.
seen a Nissan Rogue before. This is dope.
Mhm.
It's just a black Nissan Rogue.
Mhm.
And he's like, man, this is a nice car. Next thing you know, black Nissan Rogue, black Nissan. You're like,
Yep.
what is that? They everywhere now. They've
Mhm.
been, they've been
They've been.
around. Your eyes just see them
Yeah.
better now. So just imagine what happens when you tell yourself,
Yeah.
I am an author.
Yeah.
I am an overcomer. I am not going to let this situation stop me. I'm going to buy that house. I'm going to be an investor. I'm going to get my real estate. Like whatever your I am is, what if you start saying that? Then you're going to start walking into that. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
people are going to be coming to you like this in a podcast group asking for authors.
Yeah.
It didn't go together. So it was like, it was me. I need to go ahead and answer the call. So you're going to see that. You're going to be able to use that. So once you change your mindset, it's all
Yeah.
over.
And then like with the author thing, if she didn't write it down, if she wasn't thinking about it, she wouldn't have paid attention to that call. It would have just been another call and she would have went on about her day. So it's important to like I said, ask questions. Even if you don't know what it is you want, continue to search and not just stay in this stuck position. Another huge piece that I forgot to highlight is that not only did she affirm and write it down, but she took action. And I believe that when it comes to shifting our thought process and getting us into a different space, we can affirm, we can write down, but the action piece seems to be the part that's missing, because anything you start can come with uncomfortable feelings. And I used to call them negative feelings, but I don't want to call them negative feelings because it's a part of the human experience. I say they could feel a little bit uncomfortable, or you feel vulnerable, but they're emotions, and lean into them so that you're not allowing the emotions to like control what you choose to do or not do. So the action piece really, with in Queen's story, is was a huge game changer. The affirming, all that set herself up to get ready to act. But the action piece, just start. I tell people, start where you are, use what you can, because waiting around for a nice, neat little picture is just not how life works.
Mm-mm. It's not gonna happen like that. It's not gonna happen like that because our thoughts are not his thoughts. So yeah, we got all these lofty goals. I am Caddy. I got all these thoughts for it, right? But the Lord's like, okay, we're gonna do this, and you're like, what? But obedience is better than sacrifice. So you definitely gotta make sure that you're connected to your source, whatever that is for you. For me, it's God,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
universe, whatever you want to say, but make sure you're connected to that source because you're not gonna go astray. You're gonna lean into that. When he was saying all that, I'm asking all these questions. He's like, didn't you want to write a book? Like, you don't have no editor's fees. You don't have, like you got
it's
one fee and
a
you
nice
gotta
start.
submit your stuff.
Hmm.
How else do you want me to present it to? And I'm like, okay. So that was that. So you gotta just always be open to the possibilities of great
Yeah,
things happening to you. They're not gonna just pop up, but you're gonna be in the right place at the right time, and it's gonna
yeah,
happen. And I wasn't
yes.
looking for that, but I wanted to do that. That was the desire that I wanted to do, and I was able to do that. And then just recently, I was in another anthology that became a bestseller.
Wow, congratulations.
So I'm like, so two-time best-selling author under
I
my belt,
know.
and all I had to do was just submit
Yeah,
myself to the plan, submit myself to putting myself out there because it was hard. It's hard to put your story out there, but once you know that it's going to help somebody else, it's not for you.
yeah,
that it's going to help somebody else. It's a lesson learned. And you like, you know what? I want them to learn it. And I'm doing that with my kids. My daughter is 25. She has a son. I'm like, go here, give them to me. Go out, go do something, even if it's go eat by yourself, because I don't want you to lose yourself. So we got to
Yeah.
make sure once we learn something that we help somebody else. We either pass it
Yeah.
forward in our household, our community, our family,
Yes.
somebody you know that's close to you in your
Yeah.
circle of influence needs you to tell your story so that
Yeah.
way they can keep going and help somebody else. So your story is connected to other people as well.
I love that. This was so dope. I'm so grateful that you came on to share. I didn't know what I was going to learn, but just learning all of this, there's just so many, whether it's the entrepreneur thing that you're doing, whether it's the transitions or the affirmations or the negative thoughts and flipping them. You just gave so many key components to what we need. And I know how it can feel overwhelming for people thinking about all of these things, especially if you feel like you can relate to Queen's story and you're like, man, I got to do all that. But don't think that you're too old, because I always tell people, if you're breathing, there's room for change. And also know that while you're sitting there not doing anything, time keeps going on. So why not start and see where you're led. And so I encourage people to like use, we got so many tools, use the tools, try to take what you can, because life looks different when you feel like you're empowered and in control. It's hard when you feel like things are just happening. And I know what that feels like. So I'm grateful to you. Thank you, Miss Queen.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing your platform with me, allowing me to share my story, helping even more people. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let people know how they can find you. And if they want to do the I Am Academy, the book, let people know where they can reach you.
Yes, one Queen Cole on all social media platforms: LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Clubhouse, all of those. One Queen Cole, and the link is in the bio. So, whatever you need, you want to get a book, click the link. You want to get scheduled for coaching, click the link. You want to join the I Am Academy, click the link. It's all there. It's all there. Contact me, reach out to me. I am close by.
You're such a good teacher. You're so clear and like you know how to use analogies to take you're really good at what you do. So I just kind of want
Thank
to affirm
you.
that for you.
Thank you. Thank